Hi everyone, it's Tammy at Frou-frou Studio. Welcome back. We're going to do a I saw it on Pinterest make today. And let me fire up the iPad here. I'm going to make a version of this pen, which is by Hildy Wattenberg. Mine is going to be a much smaller version and kind of a condensed version because the journal I'm working in is on the smaller side. What I like about this pen is it's a different way to do a belly band, and I like how these pieces kind of interweave into each other. So I'm going to not do all this part, and then there are several other tags and things that go underneath here. I don't know if you can see these pieces right here. I'm not going to do, in like right here, I'm not going to do those. So my main focus is just going to be on the split belly band and these two, these two pockets right there. So that's what we're going to do. This is the journal that I'm working on. This is a cover that I made quite a while back, and I just kind of made the cover and didn't really do anything else to it. So I'm using this as my little sidekick journal, I guess you would call it. And I'm working on it when I'm, in between projects, or I just want a little something to do during the day. When the days I don't have a lot of time to do some crafting, I've been doing a little bit of work here and there. And it's mainly to use up a lot of my little scrappy bits that I may not use in something else. So it's just got all kinds of little scrapbook paper and book pages and, just little pieces of stuff that are kind of too small for a regular journal, but it helps me to, sometimes get motivated before I start something bigger, or, like I said, just to use up some of those bits that are in my bin that, my scrap bin that, I need to take care of. So, and you can see I've stuck different things in here in different places with the start of ideas. I'll do that a lot of times too. I'll have the start of an idea, but, don't quite have it together as far as a complete page or whatever. And so I'll just leave things stuck in there, and then when I get to that page, I can work on them. So this is the page I'm working on today, and it's just a piece of faux coffee dyed paper. And I have this Tim Holtz picture that my plan is to put on this side. I may have to cut it down a little bit because there's a pocket. I folded that music so there's a pocket. I may glue it on there and then have a pocket behind it. I could do that as well. But anyways, this is going to be on this page, and so I want to create the little woven belly band deal to go over here on this side. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and we will work on it separately, and then we'll put it in the book. Hope everybody had a great holiday. I did. It was great seeing all my family and getting together, and my sister being here and all that kind of, both my sisters. One of them lives in town though, but, and my kids and my grandkids and all that fun stuff. But I'm really tired. All that cooking and entertaining, as much as I love it, it just wears me out. But that's okay. We'll recuperate, right? Alright. So, to get this started, let me move all my little bits that I've got drug out to use. Move them out of the way while we're working on the main thing. Alright, so almost all of this is Tim Holtz paper, a smaller scrap piece that I had. I think it's a couple of different ones. And then I think this is Mente, and it was just a small little scrap that I used to make my tags. So this is my main piece that's going to be glued to the page in the journal. So this is what I'm going to be working with as far as the base goes. And then I cut these two little strips out of Tim Holtz paper to be my belly bands. So I think we want to get those attached first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little dab of glue on them, and then I'm going to put a brad through them. The original pen has 2 brads each, but because I'm working with such a shrunk down size, I think one proportionately is going to be the best bet. So let's take a little bit of glue and put on just the very ends. It is a miserable day here today. It's rainy and drizzly and cold, and the wind's blowing. Oops. Maybe didn't get enough glue on there. I just want to hold it down for a minute. I thought Tim Holtz scraps would be good for this because most of them coordinate with each other. And that way I could just go through and pick some of the smaller scraps that, you know, were big enough for what I wanted to do. And they would all go together. And I think that worked out pretty well. You know, Tim Holtz paper, you don't want to waste it for sure. So you keep little scrappy bits. Okay, so now if we poke a hole here, here, and here, and here, and put a brad through there, and that's one reason I did a separate back, so that I could poke the hole and put my brad in, and it wouldn't be through the back, because I'm also going to glue this down as a pocket and have it a top loading pocket here. It's still too far. I'm trying to adjust my crocodile so I can get the same distance. Now I'm using the small hole, but I'm sitting here wondering if that small hole, I think I'm going to test it because I don't want to poke a hole in there and then found out my brad's gonna fall through. So I've got just a little scrap piece of paper. Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I think these have a big enough head on them that they're not gonna fall through that. Yeah, that'll work. I just thought since this was, you know, cardstock, that this would be the easiest way to make a neat hole. Plus, it allows me to be sure I get them in the same place next to each other and top and bottom. Okay, now we'll put those through. Open them up. And I'm going to put a piece of washi tape on the ones on the top where that pocket or that card, journaling card's going to go, just so it won't catch. I have a hole reinforcer dot on my fingernail. Stick that over there, out of the way. Alright, where's the other one? Right there. Okay, so now we have our belly bands. Just like that. Okay, so the next thing, I'll ink everything when we're done. The next thing I want to do is, these are the little pockets that are gonna weave in here. Actually, I think this bottom one, like it matters, goes like that, and then the other one goes on top like that. And I've got this little die cut here that I'm gonna glue on this one, so you have like a little writing spot on the front as well, but I'm gonna also cover the back. And the reason I want to do that is I want to actually create a pocket right there. So I'm going to, what did I do with my, here it is. So I'm gonna glue this, I don't want to do the wrong side, just on 3 sides. Just like that. And do the same thing with this one. And you can see this is just the front and the back of the same Tim Holtz paper. So like I said, that's the easy way to make sure all your pieces are gonna coordinate together. kind of using something in the same paper line. Okay, and then we'll glue our little piece of faux coffee dye paper on there for our little writing space. And then cut those out. Okay, so there's that part. And then I've got two little tags. And again, this one's okay to write on the back of. And I think that one will be too. So I'm not going to do anything to the back of those. But I am going to put these numbers on here. And I've got a couple of little grommets that I'm going to put in there. About time for my trip, guys. I'm getting really excited. Okay. Now, I'm going to take these are bingo numbers. And I am going to dangle those off the end of the string. Sorry, I lost my pen again. That I'm going to put in the tags. If you remember from the pin, I'll bring it back so you can see it. She has these little jangly things, and these just look like they're cut out of craft paper, and she's used some stamps on them. But I'm going to use these because I have them, and two, because I like them, but I want to ink them up a little bit. They're a little too white. Even though we do have some lighter color, I would like for them to be more of a creamy color. So I'm thinking antique linen for that. But first I want to see if I can sand them up just a little bit and make them look a little older. and maybe get some of that little, they're not real shiny, but they feel kind of slick. And so I think by doing this, it'll take the oxide better. And it also exposes the little chipboard underneath a little bit, which is just a plus. And I just picked random numbers out of there. Okay, so now we can take the antique linen. I think that's going to be enough without having to go any darker. Probably have to put something on that. Antique linen, where are you? Right there. That's actually kind of a yellowy color, isn't it? Maybe we should do tea dye. Extra grommet. Oh no, it's not either, because I want to put it on that. What the card that's going down in the big pocket. Yeah, that's a little better, I think. It's not as yellow. I don't know if it was showing up as yellow for you guys. And then I just cut 4 circles with my little circle punch. It's a little bit smaller, but it's gonna serve the purpose. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to take some string. My string thing's about empty. Just gonna take it off there. Save the cone, of course. And cut a couple pieces, maybe that long. Save the rest of that, of course. And then we want to put the string through the tag. Like that. And then we're going to glue these little circles around the ends of the string. Let me get those laid out. We're going to put one of these on the back. Get out of there, string. And then put some glue on there. And be pretty genuine, pretty generous with what I'm putting on there. And then put my number on there and smush. Oops, something slid. Then I'll use a little clip and hold them for a minute. Squish all the glue out. Beautiful. Okay, now let's do the other one. Where's my other circle? Oh, right there. Okay, so now we can do this one. Same thing. And lay the strings in there. Which way did I do these? This way. I'll make sure I'm doing them the same way on both of them. Not that it matters that much, I don't guess. Make sure it's far enough down in there so it won't pull out. Oops. Okay, so we'll leave these for a minute and we'll start assembling this by inking and all that kind of stuff. Let's get some ink around the edges. And inking, as always, is optional. Personal preference, whether you like the look of it or not. It's definitely not required. I need to put some washi on those. Didn't get them tight enough either, so I'm going to take, you can take the end of your awl, if you have an awl like this, and press down right in between where you separated them, and it will tighten those little legs so they won't swing around. As much. Okay, so this is the top. So this is where we want to put the washi. And it doesn't matter what kind you use because it's not going to show. It's just to keep your journal card from getting hung, coming in and out of the back pocket. Okay, and for a journal card, I just have this faux postcard, which I believe is one by Rachel. I'm almost sure it is. Just ink around that. And I'll just put a whale tail tab and a couple of the Tim Holtz faux stamps on there. And so when I glue it down, it'll fit behind here like this. And I have somewhere, I have laid I had a little paper clip, here we go, that I was going to put on there just for another metal element. And I think I'm going to do that rather than I had a grommet sitting here too, trying to decide which one I wanted, but I think I just want the paper clip. Yeah. So we'll put the grommet up for future use. Alright, let's get it in the book now. So, back to our page, if we can find it again. Yeah, I started to say, did I leave the little dude in there? And I did. So, do I want to trim him down, or do I just want to glue him and leave him? I think I'm just going to glue him to the pocket and make the pocket go behind him as well. So, I'm just gonna put glue here, and then put him right there, and that'll be a pocket behind him if you want to put something else in there. And then don't put your pen in there. We gotta glue this down. This I'll glue on 3 sides and make it a pocket there. that. And then, so this will go behind here. Fit in there like that. What do you get? Oh, I didn't glue that down. I was like, what are you getting hung on? No, it is glued down. Why is that hanging? Who knows? Okay. And then we've got these. That are pockets. Let's take our little numbers off. They should be dry enough to at least hold together by now. So this will fit down in here. We may need to put a little thumb notch in that. And then we want this one to go, no, in here. And like I said, I don't think that matters. One way or the other, you could do, either one would be fine. And then this one will go in here, and it will go under and over. And then you got your little danglies. Now you can make these shorter. You don't have to do them at all if you don't like that idea of the danglies. I like danglies myself. Those may be a little long. No, I think they're okay. You might want to make the one that's on this bottom shorter, because it will, this one hangs pretty well as far as the length. But this one's pretty long. So I may cut that off and glue them back on there again. Or I could just maybe, I think if I tie a bow, they're going to be too short. Plus, I don't think I'm going to like the way that looks. Let's see. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to like a bow. So if I do anything, it will be, I will cut them off and glue them back on there. If I do anything, they may be fine. So that one goes over. So there you go. I think that turned out really cute. And like I said, if you have a bigger page, you could continue and make, you know, the other tags that she made on hers. But you've got, even on this side of journal, you've got this that you can take out, write on the back of. You've got a tag in here you can write on the back of. And then, same with this one. And then you have your journal card that you can write on the back of as well. Plus, you know, we could stick something else over here, even if it's just another piece of that faux coffee dyed paper or whatever. You could stick over there and have even another writing spot. So let me know what you think, guys. I think that turned out pretty cute. Again, we'll look at the original one, and like I said, the original one is a lot more detailed because it's in a full-size journal, and it has a lot more pockets and things like that. But in this particular case, I didn't need all that noise going on in my journal, because my journal is smaller, and this whole thing would have just completely overwhelmed my journal. So that's another thing to consider when you're looking through Pinterest for ideas, is you don't have to make all of something to still, you know, have it have an impact in your journal. I think this is the perfect size for this journal, and I think it has just as big of impact in my journal because of the overall size as this one does, you know, for a big journal. So I hope that makes sense. So thank you, Hildy, for pinning this make for me to work on this week, and I will see you guys back in a couple of days for I'm not sure what, but we'll find something. Until then, everybody have a great start to your week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.